So where did the name Solutions of Synergy come from?
Um, Synergy was the word that kicked it off, and it was another one of those words that was following me around for several months. And you know, when you keep hearing a word like every few weeks, it just keeps coming up.
Yeah.
I looked it up and I thought, can I use it as a song name or an album name? Because they all kind of fit that idea of elements coming together to make something greater than the sum of the parts, which is what every album is.
Any standout tracks for you?
Downtime, which is one of the ballads, which was fully improvised actually. Nighthawk, with the Epiphones that they did at that time, you can always tell from any recording that I've done with it that that it's a Nighthawk. The other one was another ballad, actually, the ending one, Until Next Time, which was another improv.
Yeah, nice one. A short song as well.
And the odd thing about that, it's funny you say that, because it was actually twice as long. Well, 4 minutes would be long for an improv, right?
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
I'm listening to it back and I'm going, this is way, 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 way too long. And luckily, I obviously still knew what the tempo was, so I fed it into the studio and basically edited it into a 2-minute thing. Once you can tell the studio, you can cut everything very neatly in terms of it doesn't throw the timing off or anything.
Yeah, well, that's ideal then.
So yeah, then obviously it takes a while to, out of the 4 minutes, to find the best two.
Yes.
That was out of necessity, really, because until I'd heard it all back, I was well up for using the completed version.
Yeah.
But it was better for everybody, I think, to have the very neat, to the point version.
No, I think that's good. I think concise is always good.
And obviously, I dropped myself in it as well, because every time, as you know, every time that I finish an album, I don't know if there's going to be any more. And to have a song called Until Next Time, I thought, well, I think I looked at you at the time a few weeks before it came out and went, well, I've just gone and done that, haven't I?
Yeah, time for another one afterwards.
Yeah, so there was. I thought, oh damn! At least the others were open-ended, and I could have disappeared off into the sunset if I wanted.
At least you didn't call it Goodbye Forever.
That's always a mistake, isn't it? Because what if, like, 15 years later, you're like, oh, I'm really motivated to do another one now.
I think with Chatty Scat on this album, you've probably got the most violent song I've heard so far out of your 4 albums.
That was an odd one. It was almost done as a joke between me and one of my friends who'd asked me to program his multi-effects box. I thought, well, I'll make some patches up and then I'll record. I'll put some stuff together and I'll record it and then I'll show you what they are.
Yeah.
And I did 2, and that was the one, obviously, that made it. And the reason why it sounds rather out of control and lots of things it sounds like is because it was never intended for anyone other than my family and him, as a half joke, to hear it. And then somebody in the family heard it and said, why haven't you put this on anything? And I thought, well, it's just it's a bit of fun, but I wasn't thinking about, and I was basically told to put it on something. So I did. And that's why that one sounds, from an engineering point of view, quite a lot different to the others, because it was done in a totally different context on different equipment.
Yeah.
It was done on the old Boss Porter Studio thing, the 16 track. But yeah, that was the one and only time I've used a TalkBox emulator, which doesn't work like a tube TalkBox. You don't get to choose the words. It
still sounds good though.
It mimics vowels. So yeah, that's probably the single wackiest thing.
It's good. I like it.
I don't know if there's any clues in there that it was never intended to actually be released to anyone else, but I can hear at times that, like the bass is dropping in and out because I'm forgetting where I am, like partway through and stuff. All the stuff.
As you say, a little bit different, but certainly not lacking in quality. Do you have a little bit of rundown of what instruments you used and equipment?
The first 2 tracks had an SG standard. At the time, it was a throwback, and now it's not so unusual to have a SG around. Ibanez JS 1200.
Yep, lovely, beautiful guitar.
And this was the second album for the Epiphone Nighthawk custom reissue.
Excellent. That's back in the days when you only had one of them.
It was, yeah, just the Fireburst version. That I've got to say though, for consistency, they both sounded exactly the same.
That's good, isn't it? Yeah, can't say much fairer than that.
Yeah, but we've sort of discussed a few times. There's some secrets in that guitar, isn't there? Because I don't know how they got all the elements together in such a way. I've never been able to fathom it before or since.
No, it's a bit of a one-off, really.
I've always put it down. I've always said it to anyone that it's the best budget guitar I ever had, which is why I had 2 of them. After eventually had 2 of them.
Yeah, I remember Fantastic to play as well.
Yeah, and gigged it more than a couple of times actually. It was quite a heck of a thing for what 220. They were between 260 and 220 depending on where you got them.
Yeah, not a lot for a professional quality instrument.
The Crafter was back as well, the acoustic. Here's a very important one. Can you guess which bass it was?
Oh, was it the Squire bass?
Well done. That's
Squire jazz bass.
And you know what? If I do any more albums, it'll still be that one. obviously got the Tone Lab as usual, the LE, the silver one. Korg AX3000G, which is what we were alluding to, which was kind of their take on the same thing, because Korg and Vox were in tandem almost, I guess you could say. Boss BR1600 CD, which was, again, quite a thing. You know, if it was still healthy, I'd probably still be using it. Probably the same Rain live book that did 5 albums. The Sapphire Pro 40 Focusrite.
Yeah.
That was the big hulking 8-input one.
Yeah.
Cakewalk Sonar X1 producer.
Yeah.
These days, it's a very similar thing, but it's called something else because the company was shut down because of Gibson.
Yeah, there we go.
A couple of key differences there.
No, that sounds about right. Where can we find your solution?
The one guaranteed way is the website, which obviously I'll flash that on the screen as usual.
Lovely.
Because that's kind of down to me to make sure it's always available. You know, and
something you can control.
Spotify. It's on a YouTube playlist on my channel as well.
Excellent.
Apple Music. I believe it's on Amazon. It's one of those things where it's probably on one of the services that you frequent.
Yes,
would be the best way to put it. And
that's good then. But website if not.
And the good thing is, even if you don't frequent any of these places, it's free access on YouTube, isn't it? So it's going to be available whatever happens, you know, somehow.
Perfect. No, that's ideal, isn't it? That's perfect. Easy for people to find, easy for people to deal with. Any final thoughts on the solution?
When you think about what's happened since, and then you put it all together, still relatively early days at that point.
Yeah, for sure. But
very much a mixed bag in terms of engineering and stylistic choice, I think. It was the kind of way that I wrote then, you know, it was never going to be safe. In that way, there was, you know, there's going to be challenges. What was it that Ian Anderson said once? He said, we like to have a bit of awkward shuffling in seats at toll gigs. We don't want it to be comfortable.
No, I like that. That's good. You know what? That is a lovely quote to end it on. And I look forward to listening through the next album and going through it with you, Joe.